And they were thinking, well, look at just how special he is. Man, I wish I could do that. That must be magic. There must be something about him that he have, something that's unique, that he's able to change water to wine. He changed water to wine like Glenn Jones changed words into poems. You know, he was special. You think there's some alchemy about it. What is that going on? What Jesus knew was just using the law as a great example. He went on to say, of all the things that I've done, you can do. All you have to do is believe, because the Father within me, is the same within you. Because he was going back to the law. He knew that we were made in the image and the likeness of God, and that God was everywhere. I like David. Do you ever read the Psalms? That's beautiful, aren't they? And here's David was talking about God. And David talked to God. You know, they said of David, they said David was the very heart of God. David would mess up. David would go out and just screw up. He literally screw up. David would do these things. He would, but he would come back and he would ask forgiveness. He would ask forgiveness, and God always forgives. Because in God's eyes, there's nothing so great that's unforgivable. And then David could move on. One of the favorites of God, the very heart of God. But I want to read this, the 139th chapter of Psalms. I'm going to start at the 7th verse. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot obtain it. I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend into the heavens, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. Doesn't matter where you go. David was speaking in his world. Now, we know that today because we can go there. But then, just imagine these words back when he wrote that. That he could see that. David could see that. He could see that he was only, he knew that he was a part of God. He was one with God. He was omnipresent. He was one with God, so he could see and know that. It doesn't matter where he go, where he went, or where one goes, God is there. And no matter where you go, guess what? There you are. And the God in you is there. It's to get bigger, to take a different perspective in life. Dr. Ernest Holmes had this to say on page 156. It says, someone has said that the entire world is suffering from one big fear, the fear that God will not answer our prayers. Let us analyze the fears which possesses us and see if this is true. The fear of lack is nothing more than the belief that God does not and will not supply us with whatever we need. It doesn't apply to anyone here. But we're talking about people out there. But there's a lot of people like that. All you have to do is turn on if you were home this morning, listen to Meet the Press. You would be getting a whole belly full of that. The fear of death is the belief that the promises of eternal life may not be true. Yeah, that's that big one, the fear of death. That eternal life may not be true. That's how many of you believe that we live forever? That we just go on living? Yeah. Oh yeah, we get rid, just like someday I get rid of this old jacket. I get rid of this, this suit that I'm carrying around that you see here. I get rid of that but that I will continue to live. If I know that, why would I fear? Like David said in the 23rd Psalms, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will not fear, because thou art with me. Always, we're always with us. We are omnipresent. Always there. God is always with us. I love talking about God. I love talking about God. And just by talking about God, here's the perspective, right? Just by talking about God is putting a limitation on you. But once I mouth the word, it put a limitation on God. How about just divine spirit? That's how grand we are. That's how grand we are. We're even bigger than the words that we speak. Only because our vocabulary is limited. Because our mind is limited. Because it can't grasp. It can't grasp the expansion of the divine spirit. And even if you tried to, you would blow your circuits. You just have to lay back and relax and just flow with it. Just go with the flow. Just get in the current. Just like Jim. Jim is in the current. Just let it flow. Yeah. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Now, the fear of loss of health, loss of friends, loss of prosperity, all arise from the belief that God is not all that we claim. Omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresent. If we can make those statements and hold those statements as being true in our mind, in our life, all that fear melt away like mist before the morning sun. That's what happened with the practitioners when you talk to a practitioner. You talk to a practitioner and you're telling them your fears. I'm pretty sure, I have fears sometimes. I have fears. Just come in. I'm working it. I'm working it because I know how to work it, And sometimes the fear is coming on. I'm working it real hard. I'm just working. Oh, there's only one mind. God. I'm chanting. And old fear just coming around. It wants to get me. I'm chanting. And I just work myself in a frenzy and I'm in a sweat. But I'm so close I can't see it. So I call someone. I get on the phone and call someone. So Reverend Celeste, I want you to know the truth about me. I want you to know the truth. Can't see it right now, but I know it. I know it's there. Use that. How many of you use practitioners? Yeah, use treatment. Yeah. Use it. It works. Jesus always used it. Because Jesus practitioner, who's Jesus practitioner? Who? John the Baptist. God. He went right straight to it. Jesus went right straight. And probably John the Baptist when he first. John didn't stick around too long after he was there. Probably those first years, but certainly God, because he knew it. Jesus just knew it. You remember when he was on the cross, and some fear came in, and he had to get rid of it. You remember he cried out and said, "Father, why hast thou forsaken me?" Then, where do you come from? Because fear loves to do it. It'll slip in. It'll change clothes, come in disguises. As a matter of fact, sometimes fear come in as your lover with his head down, and you're looking at it and it looks good and smells just like your lover smell. Then you look at his face and go, "Oh!" It can catch you off guard, Yeah, it can. So you just have to have to come back to it. Doesn't it do that? Yeah, it does it in different ways. It does it in health verdicts.